After reading the Lord of the Rings series for the first time a few weeks ago, it's going to be hard to top that series. It was that epic. Sure, the movies are excellent, some of the best movies ever made, the soundtrack. But when you read the books, you build that relationship with those characters, and then poof, the story ends, and you get kind of depressed. You get kind of sad. You're like, I didn't want it to end because Tolkien set the bar so high. Up until the year 2000, if you wanted to be a successful fantasy writer, you kind of basically had to write your, stories kind of like Tolkien. That's the truth. And then in the late 90s, George R. R. Martin with The Song of Ice and Fire broke away from that premise and then things started changing with Brandon Sanderson, who I haven't read yet, but I know of him. And I know about his books. And yeah, you just hated to see it end. The Lord of the Rings, I think about it still to this day. There's a reason it's considered probably the best story of all time in fiction and definitely in fantasy. He set the bar so high. I'm currently reading the fourth book in Stephen King's Dark Tower series, Wizard and Glass. It's considered the best in the series. I'm nearly finished. I got like 100 pages left. It's really, really good. Stephen King knows how to write fantasy. He knows how to write horror. He knows how to write coming of age. He's probably the best at coming of age. He knows how to do comedy. He knows how to pull all the punches. And so I also want to start The Wheel of Time at some point. Robert Jordan, I think that's his name. But that's like 14 books. And he didn't even get to finish the last few because he passed away. And it's even set like Lord of the Rings, at least the first book. And then supposedly after the first book, it breaks away and forms its own thing. But yeah, Tolkien set the bar. And even though the movies are great, the books are just as epic. It's of course one big series, but they separate it into 3 books. My favorite part of the Lord of the Rings is still the beginning part, the Fellowship of the Ring. I do like beginnings, and that's probably my favorite of the books in the Lord of the Rings series. The Fellowship's my favorite part. But yeah, if you read the series, you know that it sucks that it has to end, that it had to end. But so far, I like the Dark Tower. Well, as soon as I finish Dark Tower, Wizard and Glass, I'm going to take a break from that series and read Salem's Lot. That is Stephen King's second, I believe, big successful novel. And it's, of course, his vampire novel. Stephen King's vampire novel, Salem's Lot. I'm going to read that next. It's only like 300 or 400 pages. And then I'm going to debate starting George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones series or Song of Ice and Fire or Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time. I'll think about it. There's so many books to choose from. But here I am weeks later still thinking about The Lord of the Rings and how epic it was. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about.